Imagine this, a huge dining hall at sleepaway camp, kids ages 6 to 18, packed like sardines around long tables, the buzz of boundless adolescent energy and banter, eagerly awaiting lunch, and barely noticing the 120 conspicuous American visitors in their midst. Suddenly the room erupts when a young girl climbs up on her chair, hastily followed by the rest of her table mates, and they rip into a cheer at the top of their lungs. Not to be outdone, table after table gets up on their seats, answering the spirited challenge until the entire room is in a frenzy, blowing the roof off the building. Synchronized pure joy, like a well-oiled cheerleading squad. Surely this scene played out hundreds of times this summer at Jewish camps around upstate New York, Maine, and the likes, with kids from Long Island, New York City, Livingston, and Boca Raton. But this was unique. Out in the middle of nowhere, about 100 miles from Budapest and the banks of the Danube River, were Hungarians, Serbians, Slovaks, Romanians, Ukrainians, Israelis, Poles, Spaniards, and even a camper from the Netherlands. I was fortunate enough to be one of those 120 conspicuous visitors this July during a national campaign mission to Berlin and Budapest. And yes, I absolutely was up on my chair, moving and shaking alongside my new camp friends, representing our table with a David Melech Yisrael hand jive for the ages. It was truly an incredible experience, so electric and vivid that when I close my eyes, I can still hear the children's voices and see their smiling faces. This is Camp Szarvas in Szarvas, Hungary. Camp Szarvas is the international Jewish summer camp founded in 1990 by the Ronald S. Lauder Foundation and directly supported by our annual campaign through our overseas partners, the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee. Show of hands, how many of us have visited children or grandchildren at Jewish sleepaway camp? Most of us in the room. You know, the typical, the wooden bunks, the swimming pool, the ropes courses, threads of Judaica and Israel and Judaism sewn throughout the camp. Physically, this was one and the same, but there was something incredibly unique about these campers. Many of these kids just found out they were Jewish. Camp Szarvas provides them the incredible opportunity to discover and build their Jewish identities for the very first time. Meet Ilya. He is 15 years old and one of 1,500 kids from around the globe who come to camp each summer for one of the 4 two-week sessions. I was captivated by his energy, his warm smile, his passion for his Jewish community in Kharkov, Ukraine's second largest city with a Jewish population around 35,000. Here's the amazing part. Ilya just found out he was Jewish 2 years ago. He learned this life-changing news from his great-grandmother, who went on to explain how she and his grandparents received food, medicine, and home care visits as social welfare clients of JDC. When I met Ilya, he felt becoming a bar mitzvah was out of the question for him. He was too old, he hadn't studied any of the prayers due to the overt anti-Semitism he faced at home in Kharkov. However, let us not doubt the magic of Camp Szarvas. I just learned that the week after we left, Ilya received a bar mitzvah blessing from the rabbi in the small sanctuary at camp as friends showered him with candy, clapping and singing and dancing to celebrate this special milestone in his life. A rite of Jewish passage taken for granted by many Jewish youth in America today, yet a completely foreign concept to him only 2 years ago. This scene may have played out across an ocean, thousands of miles away in a remote corner of Hungary, but you made this possible. You fostered the opportunity for Ilya and many other young Jewish men and women like him, to find Jewish identity, to become leaders in their communities, and to be part of something bigger than themselves. Everything dies, baby, that's a fact. But maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Though Bruce Springsteen wrote these lyrics about his beloved New Jersey, he could have easily been describing my travels through Berlin and Budapest. While reflecting on the evil that occurred in Berlin 75 years ago at the Wannsee Conference, while reading the gut-wrenching goodbye letters written by parents, grandparents, and siblings taken to the death camps, commemorated at the memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe, while walking along the cobblestone streets, inevitably stumbling across a Stolperstein brass plaque, all beginning with the phrase, "Here lived," and ending with the details of where they were from and where they died. And while laying flowers at the Shoes on the Danube Bank Memorial, where in the short time between December 1944 and January 1945, upwards of 20,000 Jews were marched, ordered to take off their shoes, and viciously executed, their bodies falling into the river some 20 feet below. The Jewish communities of Eastern Europe were, for all intents and purposes, left for dead. That was then. Truth is, thank God, the heartbeat and pulse of these once vibrant centers of Jewish life and tradition were never fully extinguished. Hidden and suppressed for almost 3 generations, yes, but the reawakening of Jewish spirit is obvious, palpable, and fully underway. This is now. You are breathing new life into the Jews of Eastern Europe. Young and old, their revitalized passion, pride, and sense of belonging is contagious. Jewish communities are literally being reborn. Every young person I met reminded me of someone here in Metro West, one of my kids' classmates or a child of a friend. They looked like our kids, they laughed like our kids, they shared their hopes and dreams, just like our children and grandchildren. The sense of mishpacha I felt was incredible. I think our scholar in residence, esteemed journalist and filmmaker Edward Sirota explained this feeling to me best, and I quote, "The only difference between the Jews here and you is something your great-grandparents or grandparents did. Mine got out, theirs did not. They were not permitted to live Jewish lives, stripped of the opportunity to celebrate holidays or experience the joy of family milestones. Traditions left for dead. Through Camp Sarvash, Birthright Israel, the Balint House, Budapest JCC with its programs for children and families, adults with special needs, seniors and Holocaust survivors, and so many other incredible programs facilitated by our overseas partners, the Jewish Agency for Israel and JDC. Through the power and reach of our annual campaign, we are bringing hope and light back to the Jewish communities in Eastern Europe. Everything that died 75 years ago is indeed coming back. Tonight, I'd like to provide you with an opportunity to change someone's life. I'm asking you to consider joining me by increasing your 2019 annual campaign gift by $1,800 to help fund a critical unmet need. At last year's Major Gifts event, we launched our Text to Pledge Challenge and successfully raised $100,000 for crisis intervention in our local community. These funds have been allocated to our agencies and will directly aid the most vulnerable in our community, an individual in danger of being evicted from their home, unable to pay their rent, protecting someone from having the heat shut off in the dead of winter, or purchase food cards to assist a person or a parent who can't afford to feed their family. This year, I'm asking you to help us care for the more than 100,000 elderly Jews in the former Soviet Union, half of whom are Holocaust survivors whose lives are literally on the line. The additional dollars we raise tonight will afford critical relief in the form of warm blankets and jackets, wood, coal, electric heaters, flu shots, and utility subsidies. Last winter, over 60 individuals in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union died of lack of supplies during an unprecedented cold snap. Without our support, more may not survive with another cold winter approaching. To make this opportunity even more enticing, a generous donor in our national system has offered to match 50 cents for every dollar raised tonight for this unmet need. What a great opportunity to leverage our collective tzedakah and truly make a life-saving difference for someone we will most likely never meet. Please take out your phones and text your increase to 56512. The text-to-pledge instructions are up on the screen. Also, you may confirm your campaign gift for 2019 on the pledge cards you received when you arrived. Tonight, I am asking you, our most generous major donors, to join me in giving your best gift, to continue to be role models by setting the pace, allowing our community to care for the needs of our most vulnerable and those lives we touch and impact every day. I thank you, and may we all be sealed in the book of life.